Hello, everyone. Welcome to Relate to You. We're here again with our lovely guests, Tim and Ale. We're coming back for a second episode with them because last time we talked about their testimony and their lovely stories and inspiring stories, actually. And this time we want to focus a little bit more on their ministry. They're both very much involved in ministry in different aspects, but they're both involved. So we want to know, what does it take a youth to get involved and to continue to be involved? So my question for you, Ale, would be, I know last time you mentioned your mom sort of pushed you to get involved, but what made you stay? And what keeps you going?
What
really?
what made me stay was first I was learning a lot. I have Misa girl that's over a lot for that. I was learning so much, just not like just how to control the system, but also stuff that I could just take into my life. How to use computers, how to use how to fix things. That's a big one. How to fix electronics. But also, what made me stay is that there is a need of workers. We are in the end times, and the Bible says that the harvest is ready, but the workers are few.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And so, we used to have a lot more media members, but they were all dismissed. I ended up staying. Misa wanted me to stay, so I stayed. But also, just what kept me, I wanted to quit. I don't even think I've told anyone except my parents. I wanted to quit media for like the longest time. I had
Wow.
multiple times. It's like, okay, this is gonna be my last time. So I'm gonna turn in my resignation. I am done serving, but God just kept me going. I got to thank for that. But yeah, I did want to quit for a long time, but I just kept reading. The one thing I tell myself to this day is, if you don't do it, who else is gonna do it?
Yeah. It was rough doing it because, I mean, at the time, a couple months ago, we were, like you said, a lot of people were in it. I was involved in media, and it was kind of just, the structure wasn't there at the time. Like, it was everywhere. It was just, no one was willing to step forward and help out. It was literally Alejandro, Jacob, Frankie doing, because they do the screens, but the same people always responding like, oh, I'll do it, and nobody else. Like, probably had like 12 people in the group of us, and honestly,
No one would show up.
yeah, I was doing ushering, so I mean, I was doing ushering or media, and I had one Sunday to have inside the church where I could sit down and hear the word. And when the turnover happened, when a new leadership, Misa told me about it, but I wanted to take that step back because I was like, I just want to focus on ushering because I feel like I could still grow more. I want to help out more, but sorry to.
Nah, that's good. That's good.
Do you actually mind specifying what exactly you do? Because media is kind of a general term. So in case anybody was like, what does that mean? What do you do?
I am the
The.
special. I am the media member. No, actually, so my main right now is doing lyrics. I control the screens. But when we first joined, Misa had actually trained us through every single part of media, which is live stream, lyrics, and sound. And so I kept growing in that. It was Aliyah and Jacob mainly focused on lyrics. Aliyah was lyrics, Jacob was live stream. But Misa had trained me and Frankie to do sound media, sound lyrics, and live stream. And so I just continued growing, and I call myself, like, no one else really. I don't think anyone else really cares that I can work all three stations. They don't even trust me to work sound anymore, even though I know how to do sound just as good as Frankie.
Well, I don't think that it's not about they don't trust you. It's because they need to have specific. People need to have specific roles, I guess.
Yeah,
and your role is
Specializing.
there you go. That's the word I was looking. Specialized people.
Yeah, no, but I can do every single role in media. But my main right now is lyrics.
I do want to poke fun because this is ministry. We gotta do pros and cons.
Yeah.
How do you feel when it's not your fault? It's a technical issue, or you're not being able to find that last minute, oh, we're going to sing this song, and that wasn't on the schedule, and you can't find the lyrics, and you have the classic hermana, hermano turning around, looking at you,
Me, I'm one of those.
face.
I'm one of those who's like, what's going on?
Or if you're in sound, something happened, and there's that turn. What does that feel like?
Before it used to be really, really bad, especially since I was starting off. And before they had me for the Spanish services, and I did not speak that much Spanish. And
Oh,
so
okay.
when they would announce the lyrics pastor was gonna use, I could not find them, and so I would get like everyone turning. And I remember one time I got we had a guest speaker over, and it was like, okay, just translated, yeah, okay, I'm gonna read off. I forgot what he was gonna read off of, and then can I have him on the screen? And I was like, I had got in the chat, I had got in the book. I was like, okay, what chapter? And then so I asked, I think it was someone was next to me on the window. I said, what chapter was it, and what verse? And then he told me, and I still didn't know that. So I got the chapter and I got the book. I didn't have the verse. So they were like, the entire church was just staring at me as I was struggling to get the verse up. But like before then, I felt really embarrassed. I felt really like ashamed that I felt like I had let people down for
Right.
not having for not being ready.
The lyrics, yeah.
Yeah, but now I try to be more ready. I'm going to like now I do feel like, okay, that's on me. Like we'll just fix it very quickly and just get it over with.
It builds a level of like a tough, like, what is that? I don't know how else to say it aside from
Callous.
callo.
You have
There
to. You
go.
have to be callous to be in there. I've done it like 3 times, I think. um, 2 of those times I did it for a whole Sunday.
Oh wow.
So I've done 2 Sundays.
For camp, right? When we were at camp.
Yes,
Yeah,
when all of you are gone, when all of you are gone,
Remember hearing
it's
about
me
that.
they go to, and it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy, and
One of those was bad. I remember, but it wasn't you. Remember, it was a
right.
technical
It was a
issue.
technical issue, but the thing is that obviously, and I understand people don't know that it's not you, right?
Right.
So that's why they turn to look at you like, we're waiting. But yeah, I do think after being there for 3 times, 4 times, a couple times actually, you do have to have that strong, or rather that ¿cómo se dice?
Brush it off.
Not just brush it off, but that like mindset of, I'm not paying attention to you. I need to be focused. That focus.
Oh.
You need to be very focused, because I think that one of the things that happened to me in a couple of those is that I get very self-conscious about, oh my God, people are waiting. People are, they're on me. They're on me. And I would make even more mistakes.
Oh,
So I think man, props to all of them. I've seen Misa work lyrics while working sound, while working, I don't know else, while working the live stream.
there, right.
But I can see in him that he's focused. He doesn't, he's focused. He's not caring about the surroundings.
Right.
Versus a person like me, I'm like, oh my God, oh my God.
You've never experienced true stress until you're forced to do every single part of media by
There you
yourself.
go. There you go. And even then, there are people that are very good at dealing with that kind of stress.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. So, hey, props to you.
What about for you, Tim?
I love ushering. I mean, one con I would say that it's pretty small, but I say hi to people. I reach my hand out, they look at me, and they just keep on walking. That's the only thing I would say I have an issue with. Like, I try to be respectful. I mean, the whole job as an usher, you're the first face that most people see. Sometimes we have parking lot ushers, just depends on how big the service, but we have greeters, and the greeters and ushers like the first people you see when you walk in the church. So, I mean, they're the bar is set pretty high for them because they have to have a smile on their face, be just positive influence, and just trying to say hi. Some people, I mean, I understand when they're visitors, they don't know how that stuff happens, but when you have people you see all the time and you're like, oh, hey, God bless you, and they just don't say nothing or keep on walking by. I mean, it's not hurtful, it's just like, oh, man, they didn't say hi, but I mean, just like you said, got to brush it off, keep on going. But the pros, I mean, I love it. I love to help out. I get to help out with Pastor a lot. Like, if he needs water, like, that's who I'm the one, or someone else gives it to him, or the pulpit, lining it up, make sure it's lined up, the offering, opening the doors, making sure everything's good. Like, if there's an issue, it's not the pastor's job or the deacons or the ministers. That's us. Like, we're supposed to like try to solve it. And if we can't solve it, or we can't find an answer, then that's when you go to the pastor or the deacon or the next higher up. But I love it. I recommend it for anybody. But the thing is about ushering, not everyone can do it. You have to have certain traits. Like, you have to know when it's time to be serious. I mean, sometimes, like every other person, we like to joke around, have fun, but you have to be serious and know like how to read the room, how to read people, because even though you're at church, some people still don't not that they don't have their respect. Sometimes they could still be their normal selves and not leave some things at their house or leave some things on the outside the door. So just got to be alert on top of things. But that's the only con I have. But I love it. I recommend it a lot. But it's a lot of fun.
I love the ushers ministry. I think it's like I mentioned in the previous episode. I think it's one of the ministries that we don't highlight as much, and I think that a lot of people use it as like it's the first thing you do to get to where you want to be, right?
Yeah,
But
that's what
I
I've heard.
actually see that usher ministry, that could be a great way for you to truly understand service, because you
yes.
deal with people one on one. And even though, yes, like you mentioned, we are at church, but not everybody that comes to church is Christian already or
Yeah.
has been transformed already. And so I have been in greeting ministries before, and yes, you are presented with very different kinds of people.
Yeah.
But it's also sometimes, unfortunately, the job of the usher to have some of the like hardest things to do. For example, you have a screaming baby, screaming at the top of their lungs, and you're hoping mom or dad is like, I'm gonna step away.
Conscious
We have a
enough, yeah.
nursery, we have a children's ministry, or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the usher that has to be like, excuse me, like, do you mind? Like, we have places for them to go.
Yeah.
Or sometimes, believe it or not, people are eating in the service. And it's a hard job to have to go up to someone and say, hey, we actually are not allowed to eat here. Do you mind stepping outside? So with the whole traits, I definitely think like you have to have a confidence to
Yeah.
be able to go up to someone and just you're pretty much creating order, and you are the person that, hey, where are the restrooms, where's the children's ministry here, you know? And then sometimes you have no idea, like there's cases by cases. I don't know who it was that told us that someone parked like in a way where
yes.
it was blocking traffic, because sometimes people don't know the layout, or
Yeah.
they just park there. So now it's the usher to have to figure out
Whose car it
whose
is.
car is this. I need to go solve this problem, right? And more importantly, I think with ushers is that pastor has mentioned this, and he's told the church this: the ushers are not your servants. You know, they are in the ministry of service,
Right.
but that doesn't mean that you treat them like,
Like
servants.
servants.
And that is something that's why I appreciate them a lot, because even when sometimes they they get that kind of
Treatment.
treatment, they still receive you with a smile. They still receive you with a God bless you, with a praise the
Yeah.
Lord, you know? But as you guys are sharing your experiences, pros and cons, what would you say is the reason why we have a church where there's so many people, but and if you really think about it, a lot of people could fill those spots, but don't.
Yeah. Real quick before we move forward, I just
Yeah.
want to give a shout out to our brother Tony Ramirez. He's man. He's
Head
the
usher.
man. He's everywhere. That's a head usher right there.
Yeah.
Like you said, they're not people's servants, but that brother, respect to him. Honestly, he does it all. That's a true usher right there. Being a servant, the pastor to the brothers and sisters, he does it all. But props to him.
Today he even cooked.
Yeah.
Today
Yeah.
he
I
even
know.
cooked.
Shout out brother Tony
He was in the
Ramirez.
kitchen.
I literally said, I'm like, because, I mean, not that I don't want to support my juniors, but I'm like, because Tony is cooking, you best believe I'm going to buy those nachos.
Yeah.
So
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no. So, yeah, why do you think that, you know, we have a lot of need in a church, but it's hard for people to, like, want to sign up? Like, what do you think is discouraging for people to be like, okay, I'll join ushers, or I'll join media, children's ministry, whatever, you know?
Okay.
What would you say?
Talking about early commitment, number one, that's major, because you got to be at the meetings. You got to listen to pastor. I mean, this past leadership meeting, not everyone, like, the whole church was there, but a good amount of people were. And just commitment. Like, sadly, not to talk bad on the English, because I'm part of the English service, but anytime there's pastor calls a meeting or any kind of thing that we have to get together, you see almost the majority of the Spanish congregation there, and very little English. And I don't know, I don't have a legit answer for that, but I would say commitment, the confidence, the thinking they can't do it,
right.
people not wanting to sacrifice that time. People say, oh, I have a job, I got kids. Well, doesn't every person that's working or have something, they have to have a job, they have to have kids or siblings or some type of responsibility, so that falls under the category of commitment. But it's on themselves too, because some people don't didn't grow up doing certain things like that. They had no type of responsibilities in the church or responsibilities in life to where they're like, oh, I don't think I could do that. But if you just be a little bit more confident and want to move forward, and if you want to be used, you can do it. They're always asking for someone for this area or helping out or something. But then that also means you have to be committed to God too. You can't just be like, oh, I want something to do, so I'm gonna just go to church and do something there. Like, no, get baptized, be living in the Word, walk with God, and be rooted with the church, and be help as much as you can. Don't just be like, oh, only want to go to church because I saw them on Instagram. It looked cool helping out, or because my family members did. I did it too. Yeah, you can, but don't only do the stuff that you know that's gonna be like a big thing. Like, not like people say for the gram. Don't do it for the gram because you want to get posted or you want to be seen, that recognition. Do it for yourself. Do it for to glorify God for the right reasons.
That's good.
I feel like just bouncing off what Tim said, it's just all comes down to commitment, which is something that like this current just generation of the church, just in general, the church does suffer with commitment. That's mainly the reason why we had when our media changed leaderships, uh, he, we cracked down on commitment. That's why so many people were like kicked off, and then a lot were invited back, but there was gonna be this new threshold of commitment that they were gonna have to add, and Pastor has explained to us in meetings you have to create that culture. Um, but like I'm just gonna use my ministry. Part of the commitment now is you have for lyrics, you have to be there on Thursdays to help the praise team rehearse.
Yeah.
You have to be there early on Sundays to help the praise team again rehearse. You are not allowed to leave the room unless you're gonna go get water or you have to go to the restroom. Other than that, you are not allowed to leave the room. You have to
That's
stay
tough.
on that chair. And now they added this you have to have pastors verses ready.
Yeah.
Just as long as it's like the first like today I did not get all of them today. But as like the very first verse that pastor says, you have to have that one ready.
Yeah.
And so people are scared of that commitment. And that's why when Misa invited a lot of people back, there's actually a new contract for to be a part of media, and it's a commitment contract. It just states that if you are not if we see that you are not committed, we have the right to just kick you off the team.
Right.
And so people got scared of that new level of commitment, so they don't want to do. It's just all commitment.
Which is interesting because if you really think about it, these contracts, commitments, is something you see in everyday life. You get a job, there is a
A
contract.
contract.
Yeah.
Yep.
You want to, I mean, I don't want to say even in marriage there's a contract, but in reality,
there is.
but yes, think about it. You what do you say? You do your vows.
Yeah.
Right.
I am vowing to love you, respect you, honor you. So in life, there's always a level of commitment that
Right.
needs to be in place. And yes, it is scary. It is risky because you're like, oh my gosh, what if I mess up? What if
Yeah.
at this one time? But at the same time, even in sports, you guys have both been in sports.
Yeah.
There is a certain regiment physically that you have to follow.
Definitely.
But I think that to use sports as more of something that you guys can relate to, if it's not for that commitment, then you won't be a good player. If it wasn't for you being faithful to your vows, you're not going to have a good marriage.
Right.
And by the same token, if you're not committed to whatever is in place for a ministry, the quality goes down.
Right.
And so as we're discussing this, what would you say? I know this is a big question. What do you think we could do to change the culture in our church that could help people be willing to commit, but also find it somewhat exciting? Like, maybe people are shy. Maybe people are like, I don't know anybody,
Yeah.
There's people that are like, I don't have any friends at church. But then after like the last prayer, they book it, they leave, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you're like, how are you supposed to meet friends? Like you're gonna stay. What would you say is a way
Sorry,
to change?
before we move on to this one, can I add on to the last topic?
Yeah.
Like about being commitment, like it's a team. It's not just a one man effort, one lady effort. Like
Right.
you're gonna want to join something, you want to be on helping out. It's a team effort. It's not just oh, I'm gonna do this, so this is what I want to do. Like, no, you have to follow the rules. There's certain procedures to do it. You can't just wing it and just think it's all gonna be good. Like, yeah, if you mess up, well, why'd you mess up? You were told to do something where they asked you to do this a certain way. Did you not do it the right way, or did you do it how you thought it should be done? But yeah, it's just a team effort. Like pastor's always talking about that. Like, we're the body of Christ. It's not a single person that makes the body of Christ or that pastor. It's not the. It's the whole church, not the building. The people. The church is the people. But yeah,
100%.
sorry, just and
No,
then
that's I love that you guys add your points. As far as changing the culture, what would you guys say we could do to help with this?
Oh my god. In terms of changing culture, don't be scared. Uh, don't be a baby. No. Change culture. Lead by example. And I
yeah,
said my favorite verse in the Bible is Second Timothy chapter. The chapter. Second Timothy 14.
4:12.
For yeah, 4:12. Yeah. Um, you have to. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it says youth, but also I feel like that applies to just anyone. You should always be leading by example. You should always be doing what the Bible says. And yes, even though a lot of people, even in our church, sadly, I'm not gonna say names, but yeah, PUC. Like I sometimes look at people saying, "You are not. This is not the culture that our church should be showing."
yeah,
And so you are, yeah. Like for me personally, I was when I like a year ago when I was like on the edge of quitting, I was starting to like copy other people's cultures because uh, it was just easier to just copy off them. But of course, that led to bad services, uncommitted work, and so I had to just grow up, and decide, okay, I'm going to do what is right. I'm going to lead by example. And I'm going to be a leader, not a as my mom says, don't be a follower, be a leader.
yeah,
Wouldn't you say that, because in church, obviously, there's a balance. There's obviously, you have people that are very positive and that are very, like, I'm for the vision, I'm for
Right.
whatever pastor is putting out. But then you also have, very seasoned Christians who are also like, that's not going to work.
yeah,
Or, no, I already see, we've tried this, didn't work.
mm-hmm.
I think it's important that even when you are in ministry, that you surround yourself with the right kind of
Right.
people
Mentality.
Oh,
that
yeah.
have a mindset of, we need to work together. We need to do the right thing. Because as you were mentioning that, I know I've experienced that myself. When you're in ministry and there's always that person that sees the things that aren't working,
Right.
and that feeds into your service. So you're like, okay, I did my best, but yeah, this didn't work out. Or, maybe not all the ushers showed up, or maybe people called out. And now that's all that you see. So that only influences you to be like, I'm burnt out. I don't want to be in the ministry anymore. And so, have you guys ever experienced being burnt out in a ministry? I know you guys are young, but
Ooh, yes.
have you?
A lot of times, even now, it's a problem I still suffer with. I can't say no. I can't say no. If they ask me, it's one of the very big problem I suffer with is if they text me, Alejandro, we need you for junior service. We need you for a district conference. We need to do lyrics for this, for that. I can't. I find it hard to say no, and so also I'm taking like all of these different burdens, and it just keeps piling up, which is bad because, and also now I'm the only person who can do lyrics, since no one since we're still looking, we need more people to join. And so for like of the current moment, I'm the only one on lyrics, and so um I'm not in services that often. And no, I would still, like, I would leave the room if I felt like, if I felt the need that I have to go dance, I have to go pray, I would leave the room.
Right.
But then there comes a problem that praise team needs verses, and so they put a new rule on me. I'm not allowed to leave the room
Yeah.
unless I can have someone else do lyrics for me. But I lost my thought. I lost my thought.
Yeah.
Speaking on the culture, yeah, like you said, the older generation, there's a whole lot of topics you could touch with that. Like music, number one. Like me personally, I grew up around like the old school, the gospel, and I like the music we play in church. Like no disrespect to it, but I feel like if we played the old school songs, the old generation music, we're gonna get a bigger move of God because those songs are anointed. Those songs are prayed for. Those songs are made out of scripture. They're not like the radio hits. I mean, the radio hits are cool, but that's something completely different. Like there's a lot of new songs nowadays. I'm like, wow, that's a nice one. But you play some old school gospel, some old school worship music, you're gonna see the move of God. It's gonna happen because it's anointed. It's from people who are with God and try to be closer to God. And a lot of the culture, like when I first started coming back to church, it was hard for me because I was still carrying myself a certain way. Um, I just felt like I was being judged, like looked at, and some people think like, oh, like we're not like that anymore, so we don't want to be around people like that. I get that because like touching on the topic, you want to surround yourself with better people, but you always still want to be open. Like you see someone that like, oh man, I used to be like that. You shouldn't be like, oh, I'm gonna stay away from them. You should just be that positive influence. Like, oh, I used to do that too. You don't even gotta say that. Just try to be comforting to them, be cool with them, and try to make them feel comfortable at church.
Right.
Because sometimes people come into church and they don't know anything about the lifestyle that we live or how we do things, clapping our hands, raising our hands to worship, or even praying sometimes. And so like they come in and they come in expecting like, oh, I've heard about Jesus, or I've heard about going to church, so I want to go. And then if you go to church and you have someone looking at you because of how you are as a person, how that's not gonna be positive for them. They're gonna be like, oh, I don't want to go to that church. Like someone looked at me wrong, or it rubbed me the wrong way. Like that's one thing I would say that would change is people having that mentality, like, oh, I don't want to hang out with them. Like no, like as Christians we should be wanting to spread the gospel. Like he said, like touching about the harvest is ready, but the workers are
Their
few.
workers are few.
But yeah, like people should be more open to wanting to express it. Like I have some friends and other churches or some people I see. Like I had a friend today, I haven't seen him in a couple months, and I don't see him too often. And like he talks a certain way I used to talk, and sometimes like to not going down to their level, but to make them feel more comfortable, you relate to them, try to meet them where they're at. Like, oh, what's up,
Right.
bro? How you doing? Like, because some people don't like understand the brother or sister. They don't
Praise
understand
the
that.
Lord.
Yeah, they don't understand that. So hey, bro, how's it going? Nice to see you. How's the family? Like, just trying to be. Don't put like, oh, holier than thou. Just try to be a normal person, because we're people, but we're different. We're God's people. That's how I would say it.
In changing the culture, what would you say is the best part of being in ministry? And it's what's helped you, keep going.
Right.
Mm.
Do you want to go? I have mine. Is you want to go first?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, like I feel it's our motto from the church. We are blessed to be a blessing. That's one thing I sing. Yes, I don't really get hey, good jobs, or yeah, thank you for doing lyrics. I don't really get those anymore. That's fine because now people expect me to be able to do the lyrics by now. It's been 3 years, but just being able, like how Pastor said today, like yes, he feels burnt out, but just being like people up there praising, people praying, and that feeds him. And so I'm the same way. Seeing people go up to the altar, seeing people enjoy the worship, getting into like the worship, getting into the word. That's all I need. That keeps me going. It makes me feel good because I know like I'm helping fuel this.
A bigger
Wow.
picture.
With
100%. Yeah. What about for you?
What makes me stay in ministry? That's
What the best part?
the best part. Just seeing people come in, like walking in the door and seeing them praise, seeing them worship. Like yeah, it could be the same people over and over, but still like it's good to know that I'm able to help them out. Like, oh, I give them their seats, tell them where to sit down, or be at the sides watching them, making sure everything's good. But I love it. It's cool. Like just watching people praise, like he's saying, just watching them their worship. And you were talking about that earlier too. Like the worship can affect you. Like it can be contagious. It can make you want to praise. And so you see some people doing it, but then sometimes you have some people that you don't see praise. And then like for me, I take it upon myself sometimes. Like if I'm not ushering, or if I have people sitting in the back with me, like, hey, do you want to go up and pray? Like, do you want to clap your hands? But like in a joking manner, like, oh, you should clap your hands. You need to clap your hands because they're praising. No, like as a joke, like, hey man, clap your hands, bro. Like, why don't you clap in your hands? Like just to let you know like you're being friendly, but also like,
Right.
come on, like be a good influence. But
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, that's what I've seen. I've seen that you guys sometimes push each other to go up and praise, or sometimes you feed off of each other of like, I want to do it, but I need someone to actually be with me. And
Yeah.
I find that very interesting and very encouraging as well. So,
Find your Jonathan.
yes, find your Jonathan. I think I wanted to share something because right now as I'm listening to you guys, I'm just thinking about it. But uh, there's been one well, I mean, there's been a few times, but there's been one for each one of you times where I've thought, wow, this is the Lord's work. Like I've been very not just impressed, but ministered even. So for you, Ale, was I don't remember. I think it was a junior service, and you did, and Misa couldn't be there because he was outside working. So you and Frankie did everything, sound, lyrics, and everything. And I thought, and the service was flawless, at least to me. To me, maybe to the people that have the detail, the eye for detail, maybe it wasn't. But for me, it was flawless. And I remember texting Misa and telling him, "You are doing a great job with these kids. They are definitely, you're duplicating yourself in them." And I remember telling him, however, and I love you, Frankie. I love you. But I told Misa, however, I feel like your love for Revive is really transferring over to Ale.
Yeah.
And because you're there early, you're there late, and you that day you worked really good with Frankie to make sure that it was nice, that it was well put together, and it wasn't just any service. It was a pretty good a lot of people went and everything. So I thought, this is amazing. They're doing an amazing job. So that was on one time where I was like, "Oh, okay, this is impressive. This is impressive." And then for you, Tim, man, that whole week for the concrete, you showing up every day,
Yeah.
Jesus, because I mean, maybe I wasn't there at the right time, but every time I was there, you were there, and I didn't see any other youth per se, and so I thought, well, no. Little Tony was there too. Little Tony was there too. So
Teesy's always
yes,
there.
but Teesy's always there. But to see you there, and then you even shovel those holes, like it was just. I really thought, and again, maybe to throw shade. We did a lot to ask people for help. We sent messages. We sent app notifications. We said it publicly. Very few people showed up. And to see a young one show up, to see a youth show up, it was very touching for me, because it was one of those things of you would expect old people that are like, okay, yeah, I've done this, or I'm this is what I do for my job or something.
Yeah.
But no, you got those people that were like, no, I'm doing it for the church. I might not know how. I've never done this, but I'm gonna show up and do it for my church, and so right now we can enjoy a concrete parking lot because Tim was also there. His hands are in that place as well. So thank you guys. Thank you for that service.
Thank you.
Definitely on both ends, as ushers in the lyrics. And I find it very interesting that both ministries are ministries that people overlooked because they sound like it's not a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
The
People
background
can
ministry.
Right. Because people can say lyrics.
And underappreciated.
And underappreciated. And
You
people
don't
can
hear the
say,
thank yous.
yeah, people can say, you see people, what? But that's the thing. It's in the little things where God takes you to do the bigger things. God is never going to give you something big when you don't know how to handle the little things.
Amen.
Yeah.
So congratulations, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As as we're beginning to close, I do want to give you guys your plug to be able to
Right.
talk about a very special service that's
Oh, yeah.
coming up. You guys take it away. This is your 5 seconds of
Fame.
5 seconds?
no. I mean,
Be there at
take your time.
Charge. Show up. Jalen Young. I mean, if you're into Christian music, you've heard of him. He has all kinds of hits. Just be there to support. I've only heard of him being in Cali and Northern California, so I'm pretty sure this is his first time performing in Southern California. So be there. You got to pay to get in, but I mean, it's gonna be good opportunity. Maybe a once in a lifetime opportunity for many people.
We will add that in the description.
Yeah, just be there, hang out, fellowship, worship. Gonna be a good word, great praising, and
Amen.
just have fun. Show up.
Really?
It is going to be our last charge service. We're going to discontinue charge after this. So this one, we're going all out in it. So I do want to just encourage you guys to come. Yes, we're sadly putting I personally do not like to charge people for services, but it's like, yes, we're going all out, and so yes, we
Oh,
do
yeah.
kind of have to. We're putting a lot into it, so we do have to ask for a bit back. But yeah, it's gonna be a wonderful, wonderful experience. A good time to fellowship for the youth with other
Right.
people.
Yeah.
A good chance to make friends and forever. So yeah.
Yeah.
And for the record, this event is not just exclusively to youth. If you want to
Right.
join, this is for everyone. If you are a young adult, if you're married, if you're a grandparent, you are more than welcome to join us at this event. We will be adding that in the description. And yeah,
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having.
We hope you can maybe join us later. In a couple of years where you're like I've moved
Yeah.
up, or something.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. I
Yeah.
think people would be interested to follow up on your stories and on your ministries.
Definitely.
So thank you so much, guys, for being with us. Please share some love to these guys. Actually, before we close, I want to make a shout out because Tim doesn't have social media. And I
Right.
find that interesting. Can you share why?
It was a big decision for me. I was really big on social media. That's how I talked to all my friends, far, locally, and I was at camp, and it was the second day of camp. And that was last year, not this past year, last year, and I was struggling. And I was like, man, I like social media. I like seeing some stuff. Some things are bad, but there's some things I can't let go of. But I was praying on it like that night at camp. It was the first night I was praying on it, and the second day that morning I woke up, I was like, nah, I don't care if this person can't get a hold of me or so and so, I can't talk to them, but I just gotta do it. And then I was just fighting it all day, fighting that urge, and I just got rid of it. And it's the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I don't have no distractions.
You're
Not
free.
Like, yeah, like seeing some things and be like, man, I want to be like that person, or I want what they have. And honestly, that really helped me. I'm like, I'm just focused on me. Yeah, I have some things. I'm human. I'm a young guy, but I'm pretty focused on what I want. I don't have to worry about other people or how other people are living. Like, I'll see people, they're like, oh, how can I contact you? Well, if you're special enough, you get a phone number, but that's about it.
Oh,
You heard it here,
But
guys.
yeah. No,
But you can find Tim now. He's going to be on YouTube and Spotify. And if you do follow us, you're going to see us on Relate to You on Instagram. And then maybe you can find Ale. So we will see you guys on the next episode. Bye.
bye.